Greetings adventurers, and welcome to the Loot Goblin Marketplace. There are so many horror stories where a new guy shows up and thinks the game is all about making themselves look as cool as possible, and it ends up sucking all the fun out of the room for the rest of the table. Don't get me wrong, you should want your character to feel like they're having an impact on the story, but at a certain point you need to realize that the rest of the party wants that too. Why would a table of 4 to 8 people set aside 4 hours a week just to gas up exclusively you and your character? Life is busy and tabletop games can eat up a lot of your remaining free time, so please be a bit more respectful of other people's time. Whenever I'm preparing as a dungeon master for an upcoming session, I ask myself what every party member wants out of those sessions, and even to a certain extent what the prominent NPCs want too. There are so many storylines that need time to shine in a campaign, so sometimes you need to take a step back and let other people have their cool moments too. Today's treasure was actually sent to me at lootgoblinstories@gmail.com, but it was originally a Reddit post. That goes by the name The Devil Is That Guy. Tabletop RPG games are not a hobby I often partake in, but my boyfriend has slowly been getting me into playing some of the games he dungeon masters. A few months ago, he got himself a copy of the Rule Cyclopedia for basically the revised basic Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition, and has been running a series of bi-weekly drop-in games on Saturday at the local gaming store. Here's how these games work. He drafted out a map of a small setting with a few towns and usually have 2 to 3 pre-written short quests for us to play. There are a few important NPCs and 2 overarching conflicts running in the background. Players turn up on the day, generate a character, and start playing. He keeps everyone's character sheets so that returning players can continue with the same player character. So far he's run 3 sessions, and I'm the only player who has been there for all 3. In a typical game, we all meet in one of the towns, introduce our characters, and choose which quests to do first. Usually we manage to complete 2 quests per session, which so far has involved fighting a lot of goblins and undead. The first session went pretty smoothly. We had a small party of 4 and managed to stop a necromancer and clear a goblin camp. It was largely uneventful, but it was a good proof of concept for the drop-in games format. I rolled my character the night before, a magic user with 17 intelligence, but only 4 dexterity and 6 charisma. She started with 6 hit points and an armor class of 12, making her pretty weak and easy to hit. I've kept this character for all 3 games so far as she's fun to play and has managed to survive. For game 2, our party changed. Instead of the other 3 from last time, the Dungeon Master's mom and brother wanted to turn up for a game. D&D is basically their family hobby. Oh, that's awesome to hear. The Dungeon Master's brother brought along a friend of his who had never played before, but wanted to try it out. Our party consisted of Bernisa, the magic user, Pete the thief, and Joanna the elf. So far, everyone has a fairly standard character. Then, his brother's friend rolled stats for a fighter, with 17 strength and 6 intelligence. Enter Shadow Wolf. The Cliff Notes version of this character's story is that he came from the wolf tribe, had purple eyes because he was cursed under the purple moon, and his tribe had died in a war with the Fox clan. Pretty edgy, but it wasn't a problem. At least we had a tank. He was clearly having fun and getting really into playing his character. In our first quest, we fought some zombies, and Shadow Wolf found a magical cursed black sword that ended up being a very powerful weapon for him. After this, he developed some mild case of main character syndrome and became obsessed with finding more magical swords. But it wasn't bad enough to be annoying. It was his first game after all. Our second quest of the game had us investigating some goblins who had taken up residence near an elf sanctuary in the deep woods. We actually recruited some of the elves to come with us as backup. We found a door at the back of the cave behind a fake wall. The thief went to check if the door was locked and ended up meeting some goblins behind it. He was able to talk the goblins into taking him to see their leader. We were expecting it to be a larger goblin, but it turned out to be a beholder. After the rest of us fought off the goblins in the main cave, our party reunited and the thief told us what he had seen. In the game, only my character knows what a beholder is. She tried to tell the party that it was very dangerous and not something that they should fight. We were all either level 2 or level 1 in this game, and by this point, I had used up both my spell slots for the day. I tried telling the party, it has a death ray, you will not survive, run away, and the thief agreed with me, but Shadow Wolf, the fighter, with his magical cursed sword, said he was going to fight it. Knowing my character would die instantly if she was followed, I chose to wait outside the cave and run away if nobody was out by sunset, and the thief agreed to wait with me. But Shadow Wolf, Joanna, and 6 of the recruited elves all charged down to fight it. This was the first first time the Dungeon Master had used a beholder in a game and had anyone want to attack it. He said that us running away was a smart choice. The result of the fight was all 6 of the recruited elves died, the elf in our party died, and Shadow Wolf somehow managed to survive some of the beholder's attacks, but got hit with the sleep ray and got captured. The thief and magic user decided to run away as nobody left the cave. As far as they were both aware, everyone had died. This is how the session ended. 2 weeks later, game 3 rolled around, and this is where that guy emerged. All 4 of us from the last game returned, a friend of the Dungeon Master also came to join us, and we had a new player from the shop who wanted to try a version of D&D that wasn't 5th edition. It took us a little bit longer to start as the new players had to create characters, and 2 of our players from the last game had to do the same. Our party now consisted of the same magic user and thief from the last game, and now they were joined by a cleric, a dwarf, and a new elf. With Shadow Wolf having been captured, his player, known as that guy from now on, rolled similar stats and made a new character. It turns out that Shadow Wolf had a brother named Lucifer. Oh wow, we went edgier with it. Nice. The combined backstory for both of these characters is probably long enough to be George R.R. Martin novel. In short though, Lucifer was banished from the wolf tribe because he tried to date a witch who ended up causing the war which led to the death of the clan. His main motivation for questing was that he needed to find his brother. Okay, so now that we've let this story breathe for a little bit, I'm gonna chime in here. The first guy's character is literally called Shadow Wolf. He has an edgy backstory. The Dungeon Master gives him a cursed blade to kind of feed into it because he's like, look, you're new, you want to be an edgelord, here's your edgelord sword, and suddenly the man has a god complex. This is one of my personal pet peeves. I'm really not a fan when a character is re-rolled as the brother of the previous character with basically the same stats, the same feats, the same skills. I get that you really want to play that character and that character died, but if you didn't have a brother that was pre-established in the story, it does kind of feel like a cop-out. It also feels like a little metagamey that he's looking for his brother, because obviously if he asked the magic user and the thief, they would say that he died because everyone else died against the beholder. This guy probably shouldn't think that his brother's still alive, and maybe he's doing the whole like, oh, I don't believe it, he's stronger than that, because he's like a fellow edgelord or whatever. Creating this character totally forces the Dungeon Master's hand, and now obviously you guys have to go back and fight the beholder immediately, or else this new Lucifer character is going to complain over and over again. I'm sure the Dungeon Master planned eventually for you guys to return and fight the beholder. This beholder is not meant to be taken on immediately though. This is not a level 2 character encounter. You guys got to level up a couple times and then come and fight, and it'll be satisfying to beat him, I'm sure, but just not right now, you know? We actually don't know for sure what Lucifer is going to do next, so let's get back into the story. At first, that guy started out the same as last time, just being really into playing his edgy fighter character. There was some drunk banter between him and the cleric, but it was still in the spirit of the game. Before we could set off from the tavern, he started asking the thief and the magic user about his brother. All that these two characters knew about what happened to Shadow Wolf is that he went to fight a beholder and he didn't come back. Both of them believed him to be dead. Lucifer then insisted that Shadow Wolf always survives and that you didn't see the body. Oh, he literally did the thing. The Dungeon Master had allowed saving Shadow Wolf to be a quest, but the rest of the party didn't want to attempt to do it at such low levels. Instead, we wanted to do a quest set by a quest giver named Gargablinks. Our party left the tavern to go to a lake, which in-game time took most of the day's travels. On the way, their Dungeon Master rolled a random encounter with a group of 7 gremlins. Lucifer immediately wanted to kill them despite not knowing if they were dangerous or not. The elf speared one of them and I was able to cast sleep on the rest. What we didn't realize is that gremlins have an effect where they will make you try to attack yourself if you fail a check against magic. Most of us passed the check except the thief. He took a big injury with his own knife and needed serious healing. So far, the magic user and cleric had the healing skill, but both our rolls failed. As we had been in a bit of a rush to start the game, we noticed that Lucifer had the space to take 4 skills but had not selected any. We needed another healer, or we'd have another character die, and the Dungeon Master insisted he didn't want to have any more character creation that day. In order to have a chance of saving the thief, we needed Lucifer to take healing as a skill, but he refused. At first, we thought he just wanted to take other skills that were better for him, but he insisted he just didn't want to heal the thief. Oh, nice man. Apparently, our thief had left his brother to rot, and as a result, he did not want to save him. This went on for about 5 minutes until he finally agreed to take healing as a skill. We healed the thief and all carried on to our quest. Eventually, we reached the tower and spoke to the wizard about what he wanted to do. So far, only our players from game 2 had met him before. That guy immediately started asking the wizard if he knew Shadow Wolf, and then goes on to tell him that your apprentice left my brother to rot. I tried to tell him that there was nothing my character could do and that she would have died going in there, to which he just insisted, then you would have died with honor. The Dungeon Master was able to shut him down by just making the NPC brush off whatever that guy was trying to say, and we went on to our quest. We went to the island, found some older ruins, and at the top of the ruins were 4 water elementals and a big pile of treasure. That guy decided that his first move would be to run to the treasure pile. The treasure consisted of a hand axe, a staff of striking, a ring of remedies, a potion of fire resistance, and a long bow of flying. We hadn't even beaten the enemies, and he wanted to keep all the treasure. During the fight with the elementals, the rest of the party all managed to get at least 1 hit, but that guy had a few bad rolls and did barely anything. After a small argument, we decided that we would take the treasure back to Gargablink's to have it evaluated before deciding who would get to keep which items. Yeah, that's smart probably. Half of them could even be cursed if they're just left out in the open like that. That guy kept insisting he wanted to keep pretty much all of it, despite none of the items being particularly useful to him. The magic user got to keep the staff, we gave the axe back to the wizard, it seemed to be enchanted, the elf kept the potion, and the cleric took the ring. Now here's where that guy got pretty angry. The longbow was the only item left and he wanted it. It was not a weapon his character was good with, but he just wanted to keep it. He tried to give some spiel about his character being an orphan, and that meant we should pity him and give it to him. Wait a minute, isn't this guy the reason his clan's wiped out? He's the reason he's an orphan. The thief had an idea. We sell the bow in town and split the money 6 ways. We all like this idea, but not that guy. Lucifer gave the thief an offer. Give him the bow, or we would kill all the party in Gargablink's. Yeah, seems reasonable. That guy was at level 1, wanting to fight 5 players in the presence of a high-level NPC. I know he was a new player, but not fighting the party should be common sense. The thief refused, and that guy stood up, pointing directly at me and declared he was going to attack. The magic user was out of spells and standing behind the wizard before combat started. As he couldn't hit my character, he turned to the Dungeon Master and said that he would attack the wizard NPC first instead. I don't know what he thought he would gain from that, especially as he still wanted us to go find Shadow Wolf with him. At one point, he made an offer saying he'd stop attacking if Thief the magic user told him where his brother was, which led to another argument about how we think he's dead and don't know where he is. But apparently we didn't see the body and should have died with honor. At first I was amazed the Dungeon Master was allowing him to do this, but being a 5-on-1 fight, it didn't go well for that guy. None of the party were able to land any real hits, and it ended when the Dungeon Master rolled for the NPC turn and Lucifer got turned into a fly. After that, we all just ignored his character and carried on with leveling and starting the next quest without that guy. He was pretty mopey that we didn't want to let him come back to the party and threatened to make a new character next session to get revenge on us. The Dungeon Master had already said he will not allow that and gave him a talk about how Dungeons and Dragons is supposed to be cooperative. Oh, come on, man, you don't want to see the third fighter brother with an even edgier name than Shadow Wolf or Lucifer? I don't know what he expected initiating PvP like that. I guess he was trying to functionally have a tantrum, swing out at the other players, and then eventually he would have gotten what he wanted. Really stupid though. Also, I do really think it's funny because since he's a fighter, I get technically he can use like a lot of stuff. He can use a lot of different weapons, a lot of different armor, a lot of different like rings, and maybe even mattering on the edition, he can use some of the magic as well. But you have an entire party, an entirely more competent party clearly here, that would much better use magic items, especially in the edition you're playing. So maybe part of that's they come from 5th edition and they just think anything can be utilized by them. But even if that was true, that's insufferable, man. Why do you expect the entire party to just give you all the loot all the time? You want the quest to be about you want the treasure to be for you, and you want the Dungeon Master to kind of bend to your will. This guy really does have some serious main character syndrome, so obviously this guy sounds like a treat. I wouldn't let him play another character even if he promises it's not another brother, because it seems like he does the thing where every new player character holds the grudges of the previous characters because he can't separate the character from the player. But honestly, my problem here isn't that he's a newbie. My problem here is this guy cannot take no for an answer, and sometimes the dice will say no for the Dungeon Master, but other times the story just doesn't make sense to have it go that way. So having someone at the table that's going to turn to like a screaming match no matter what you're doing is something that I don't want to waste my time dealing with. I really appreciate this guy is volunteering his time running sessions at a local game store. I really appreciate when people do that and they're willing to take on new players, but some players are just not worth it. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts in the comments below. Would any of you honestly give this guy another chance? Make sure to like and hype the videos, it really helps the channel grow, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have a story that you want me to read, make sure to send it in to lukegoblinstories@gmail.com. And as always, I hope to see you in the next video. Farewell for now. Hey kid, want to try some gamer subs? You can now get free samples anywhere in the world and try the most delicious 0-calorie energy powder in the game when you use code LootGoblin. Each sample sent out gets me one step closer to my quest to get a flavor that tastes suspiciously like Dr. Pepper. If you end up liking those free samples and want to purchase some gamer subs, make sure to use the link in the description or use my code to get 10% off your entire order.